When the word Tantra comes into conversations, people often relate it to something like black magic or a practice to cause harm to someone. They think so by hearing someone without any actual knowledge and experience of Tantra. In this video, we'll talk about what is Tantra and the false interpretation of Tantra. But before starting this video, I want to tell you guys something. If you are the type of person who sticks to their own ideas and perception without trying to understand what someone is saying and without actually contemplating on it, then this video is not for you. Development of Tantra. The Agamas, which literally means that which has come before, and Tantric scriptures were given in Kali Yuga by Lord Shiva himself, as people of this age cannot perform full-fledged complex yogic and Vedic practices. The peak of Tantra was around the 3rd to 4th century AD in the Kashmir Valley. The development of Tantra started from there as people started to follow and practice the rituals and worships mentioned in the Agamas and Tantra scriptures. Based on the worship of deities, they made different traditions like Shaiva, Shakta, Vaishnava, etc. But mainly, the traditions divided into 3 parts. First, Shaiva tradition. They followed the Shaiva Agamas and believed in dual philosophy, which means they believed that there is a distinct separation between an individual and the supreme reality. Second, Rudra tradition. They followed the Rudra Agamas and believed in both non-dual and dual philosophy. Third, Bhairava tradition. They followed the Bhairava Agamas and believed in non-dual philosophy, which tells that there is no distinction between an individual and supreme reality. This philosophy is known as Advaita Vedanta, which was given by a great master, Adi Shankaracharya. It is important to mention that Shakta Tantra, another tradition, developed under the Bhairava tradition. Around the same time, a different tradition of Tantra was also developing at Kamayaka Pita, situated in Guwahati, Assam. It was Kaula Tantra, a more advanced form of Shakta Tantra. People who do not know Shakta Tantra and Kaula Tantra perceive divine feminine as supreme reality and worship her and her many forms. Between the 7th to 12th century, history witnessed great masters like Somananda, Vasugupta, and Abhinavgupta who did remarkable work in the field of Tantra. For example, Vasugupta shared the Shiva Sutras, which were received to him through a divine revelation. Lord Shiva appeared to him in a dream and shared this divine knowledge. Abhinavgupta did many works. One of his work describes a comprehensive 37-chapter treatise unifying Shiva and Shakti philosophy, rituals, and yoga. Adi Shankaracharya, who consolidated the non-dual philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, are themselves masters of Tantric Upasana, particularly the Sattvic Srividya system. He established Sri Yantra and wrote beautiful compositions like Sundarya Lahari. Kuluka Bhatta, the well-known commentator of primary manuscript, talked about the authenticity of Tantra and famously wrote that the Tantras are at the level of Srutis. Now, the people who do not know what Srutis are, they represent the core Vedic texts and are considered the ultimate spiritual authority.
What does Tantra teaches? People often think Tantra is about sex and indulgence, but that is far beyond the truth. The Sanskrit term Tantra has evolved from the root tan, which means to stretch, weave, make, or form systems via principles, laws, or teachings. In general, it means systematic knowledge governing Devata Upasana, which means deity worship, and its applied application. Essentially, Tantra is an advanced and adaptive system of deity worship that consciously takes into consideration the variable human and environmental conditions based on time, place, and individual capability, or Desh, Kal, Patra. Tantra, in all its many forms, from the Dakshinachara, which is right-handed path, generally in accord with traditional social norms, to the Vamachara, left-handed path, involving non-conventional practices, is based on sound spiritual sense and deep psychological principles. Its effectiveness is confirmed by a long tradition of great masters, siddhas, and gurus who have realized their sadhana, which is spiritual practice, and achieved extremely high levels of spiritual transformation by pursuing this path. The evolution of Tantra also reflects its ability to assimilate practices from the surrounding environment and use it as base for its own development. Unlike certain Vedantic paths, Tantra is not confined only to attainment of final liberation or moksha, but bhoga, which is worldly pleasures or the way of the world. For there is no dichotomy between a transcendent divinity and the world. In Tantric philosophy, the world is the direct manifestation of the Shakti of Shiva engaging in a lila or divine play. Therefore, when correctly understood and approached, bhoga is as important a part of divine experience as is liberation or moksha. We find this to be not in contradiction to the basic Vedic approach, and the best example is that almost all stotras and stutis of deities contain chaturvarga pala as an end result, that is, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Exclusive hunt for moksha is only for those who have renounced the world as sannyasis, but for rest of the people, they are to attain spirituality while also engaging with the world around us. Even in the Vedic Kadamakanda, it is required of an individual to be married. Only then he has the adhikara, which is right, to participate in many of the larger fire rituals. Through its vast arsenal of spiritual techniques, Tantra sets itself apart by combining the art of mantras, which are sacred syllables or sounds that expresses the essence of a deity, with yantras, which are mystical diagrams used in the concentration and invocation of deities, multiple types of yoga, pranayama, which is control of breath, mudras, which are symbolic body posture or hand movements, and advanced visualization. Moreover, a distinctive feature of Tantra is the intricate knowledge of muhurata, which is a certain specific time that is beneficial, and the qualities of raw materials and natural ingredients that are employed in the rituals. All these factors combined make the upasana, meaning worship of the deity, smooth and efficient, especially in the present age, the Kali Yuga, which is otherwise difficult in many other ways.
Why Tantra has bad image in society? In the colonial period, one of the major attacks came from the Christian missionaries, who tried to defame and denigrate Hindu practices, systematically disseminating forged reports and misinterpretations. Their intent was obvious: to discourage the masses from following their ancestors' dharma and instead promote the conversion to Christianity. To pursue this goal, they spread false information among public about Hindu deities and practices like Tantra, portraying it as primitive, superstitious, and immoral. At the same time, confronted by the uncertainty over India's political future, some Hindu leaders and reformers chose a tactic of emphasizing those aspects of Hinduism that appeared to resonate with Western religious or philosophical sensibilities, mainly emphasizing non-duality and suppressing or downplaying deity worship. Tantra was disparaged as primitive superstition or embarrassing reminders of an earlier, less enlightened epoch. This widespread ignorance concerning the sophisticated nature, intellectual richness, and spiritual potency of tantric rituals enabled such misrepresentations to remain largely uncorrected for nearly a century. Unfortunately, to this day, much of the Indian population is not aware of the rich philosophical underpinnings of the tantric tradition. Another reason for the ill repute of Tantra is the failure to utilize tantric wisdom in an appropriate manner. Unfortunately, the seekers who did not have strong ethical or spiritual guidance entered this field wrongly, lured by the prospect of supernatural powers, and applied these methods for selfish reasons. In the West, the secular aspect of Tantra has been extracted from its intricate rituals and philosophical framework altogether and repackaged as some exotic art or lifestyle cult. Even in the 21st century, the term Tantra carries the weight of this abiding stigma. This commercialized perversions has little to do with the heart of authentic tantric sadhana. The savior of Tantra. One of the earliest and most outspoken defenders of the Tantra Shastras during the colonial era was Sir John Woodroffe. He became Chief Justice of the Calcutta High Court by rising the ranks in the British Indian judiciary. The incident that first drew him to Tantra is both curious and telling. During the hearing of a complicated case, he found his mind repeatedly fogging up, impairing his clarity of thought. His clerk theorized one of the parties to the case has hired a tantric practitioner to chant certain mantras designed to influence the judge's decision. Interestingly, as soon as this man was removed from the court, Woodroffe seemed to have regained his mental clarity. This mysterious incident made him curious to know about Tantra and yoga. He began studying Sanskrit. He was later initiated into Tantra sadhana, reportedly attaining a high-order initiation called Purnabhisheka. Under the pseudonym Arthur Avalon, Woodroffe embarked on the colossal task of translating rare tantric manuscripts and writing several pioneering books on the subject. In books such as The Principles of Tantra and The Serpent Power, he painstakingly established a solid philosophical coherence and rational basis of tantric upasana and practice, systematically refuting the unfounded criticisms of Christian missionaries as well as the dismissive attitude of the reformist Hindus. Tantra sadhana contains some powerful upasana methods designed keeping in mind the changes of the current age, by which a competent individual may unlock his true spiritual potential through a real and authentic interaction with the pantheon of devatas worshipped in Hindu Dharma.